Welcome to Gimpy's History Corner. I'm called Gimpy by these guys, Ellis and Archie, who thought Times Square was very wild. Times Square at night is a unique experience. That's for sure. Okay, video 161 is the history of the cell phone. Stretches from the experimental wireless communication in the 1940s to the first handheld mobile cell in 1973, to mass adoption in the 1990s, and finally to the smartphone revolution of the 2000s onward. Okay, 1940s, World War II for the United States. If you saw any World War II movies, you saw scenes where the radio guy had a backpack on his back, and a sergeant would want to call the nearest base, and he'd crank it up, had a big antenna on it, and he'd call. That was a wireless radio. 1946, AT&T introduced the first mobile telephone service in cars. Very bulky and limited in range. 1960s, Bell Labs worked on cellular networks, laying the groundwork for modern mobile phones. 1973, Motorola released the Dynatac 8000X, the first commercially available cell phone. It cost in 1973 $3,995. I always wondered, why don't they just make it an even $4,000? That would be over $10,000 today. So obviously, I was a junior in high school. I did not have a cell phone. Networks were analog with limited coverage and capacity. So these were very early cell phones, obviously. 1990s, mass adoption, digital network, 2G replaced analog, improving cell quality and scarcity. Phones became smaller, more affordable, and text messaging was introduced with the initials SMS. I'm not sure what that stood for. By late 1990s, cell phones had become mainstream. My first cell phone might have been as a school administrator. The district might have bought my first cell phone, but I don't remember. I'm 69. My memory's not very good about when things happen. But school districts used to buy administrators' cell phones for emergencies. The 2000s era, 2007, Apple launched the iPhone. That was a huge deal, combining phone, internet, and multimedia in one device. Competitors like Android quickly followed, sparking the smartphone boom. Remember I guess there's still some competition between Android and Apple, but I've always had Apple phones. I've never had an Android. Features expanded to include cameras, apps, GPS, and touchscreen. I think GPS is the most valuable tool of the cell phones I've owned in my life. Going from a paper map, written directions, to someone talking to you from your cell phone, turn right here. That is incredibly helpful. And we wouldn't have our delivery culture we have today without GPS, that's for sure. Working off of satellites. Isn't that incredible? Bouncing signals off satellites for your cell phone to tell you where to go. Tell you to stay in your current lane. How do they know? Holy mackerel. 2010s to the present, ubiquity and innovation. Okay, remember we started out with 2G networks. First digital network was 2G. Now we're up to 4 and 5G networks. Enabled high-speed internet, streaming, and cloud services. Smartphones become essential tools for communication, commerce, entertainment, and navigation. Modern devices have AI, which I use all the time. Biometrics, I do that every day, counting my steps. And foldable screens, I've not tried that yet. So all those are good things, obviously, for cell phones. But there's a long list of harms of having cell phones. What's the average age of a United States child getting their first cell phone? According to my cell phone, it's between ages 11 and 12. My oldest grandson is 10, or he will be 10. So he's getting close. And what are the common negative effects of kids, teenagers, having cell phones? Anxiety, depression, body image problems, sleep disruption, poor focus, cyberbullying, obesity due to sedentary lifestyle, academic decline, and social skills deficit. You go to a restaurant, you got a bunch of teenage kids. Are they sitting there talking about their boyfriends and girlfriends? No. They're all on their phone, not even talking to each other. And I see that with adults too. I try not to get on my phone in restaurants. I usually take a book, which is probably just as bad, and read my book or talk to the waitress. Waitresses are my social network these days. Not many non-waitress friends around these days at my age. Those were all in the past. So, cell phones started for real in the 1990s with the first cell phones. I had the fold-up kind. There's a funny Saturday Night Live skit with Will Ferrell is kind of a future-like guy with a weird haircut and small little glasses, and he gets out his new cell phone. It's about that big. I always liked that one. But as a school administrator, dealing with cell phones was always an issue. This was after Columbine and the school shootings that happened. Parents were scared to death for their kids. So they got them cell phones, so if something happened, they could call them. They could come to their rescue. Teachers didn't want kids to have cell phones in class, so they would have them hang them in a, I think it was originally designed as a calculator separator hanging from the wall, little slots, little plastic slots. Drop your cell phone here on your way in. Some teachers had kids learn to use their cell phones for learning purposes, looking up things like I do with my cell phone. But mostly it was a pain in the neck. Kids texting each other, parents texting kids during school. The parent fear about school shootings was always a thing. You couldn't tell a parent, no, can't have your cell phone. You're like a prisoner here. You can't do that. I don't think you can do that. Some people did it and got away with it. I noticed that some states are barring cell phones in schools, but we'll see how that works. Because with ICE agents National Guardsmen roaming these urban areas. I don't know. It would be kind of scary for kids to be at school with no way to communicate with parents. So cell phones have created an odd society. We can get around in our cars and find things well. We can ask it questions and it can tell us. It can take pictures, movies, like I'm doing now with my cell phone. But you read the listings of all the problems it's caused people, from simple anxiety to obesity, lack of focus, social skills deficit, because you don't converse with people anymore. You text them, or you show them something you found on TikTok. I don't know. It's a different society. Cell phones have been one of the most impactful technologies for our society, no doubt. Okay, that is video number 161, History of Cell Phones. I'll congratulate the Hoosiers for beating my Buckeyes last night by 3 points. Hopefully they'll get a chance to play each other again in the playoffs, and we'll see. Okay. Have a great Sunday. Go Bengals.